Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Xanton, and welcome to today's video for Honkai Star Rail. Now, Kafka is coming out soon, and I personally, I'm a Kafka enjoyer. I'm a Kafka wanter, so I'm going to be pulling for Kafka. Now, over on my live stream over on Twitch, I've had a few people ask me, hey, I'm also considering pulling for Kafka. Do you think she is good, though, for a free-to-play player? Because, these people are free-to-play players. And I find it a very hard question to answer. Of course, I give my answer there, but it's usually very short and condensed. And that's why I'm making this video to basically expand upon whether or not I think Kafka is good for free-to-play players. Spoiler, yes, I do think she's very good for free-to-play players for a lot of reasons. Now, before we get too far in this video, I would like to take this time to just basically define what exactly or how exactly I define a free-to-play character. Because I know some people think free-to-play character, free-to-play friendly character means one thing, other people think it means another thing. I'm just going to give you my personal definition. For me personally, when I think of a free-to-play character in a gacha game, not necessarily just Honkai, but other games too, like Genshin, Blue Archive, etc., I think of a character that doesn't need many 5 stars or whatever their equivalent is in the game. Limited characters. So basically, I think a free-to-play friendly character is a character that can use, well, things, resources you can get relatively easily as a free-to-play player. In this case, 4-star characters. So, in essence, I do think Kafka does qualify. Now, before we talk too much about Kafka, let's just a quick refresher here for the people who just don't remember what Kafka does. She is a lightning nihility character, so she, like most nihility characters, she's going to be based around debuffs. Specifically for Kafka, she is going to be based around the DOT, debuff damage over time. And she's going to be great payoff for DOTs. Just file that statement away. Great payoff for DOTs, because we'll talk about that more further in the video. As for her actual kit, basic attack, nothing special there, just, hit something for some lightning damage, whatever. Skill, this is where it starts to get interesting. The skill of Kafka is deal some damage to a target, and then deals some damage to the targets adjacent to your main target. And if they have a DOT on them, basically it activates the DOT, deals damage equal to however much DOT damage is on them. And that is the payoff. And then, of course, you got her ultimate, which hits all enemies for some damage, some percent. And I believe it is a 100% chance or something to shock them and then give them even more damage. And that's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. Also, if they are shocked too, I believe they will also receive some more damage based on how her attack percent or something like that. And then she even has a pretty sweet follow-up in the form of her technique, or sorry, not her technique, her talent, which is when an allied unit uses like a basic attack or on a shocked enemy, she will do a follow-up attack on them. This can only be used once a turn though, because let's be honest with you, I'll be honest with you, if it could be used more than once per turn, it would be completely busted and Kafka would be completely cracked and the greatest character in the game, most likely. And then, of course, you got her talent, which is just like... Sorry, talent? I meant technique. My apologies. But basically, it's very similar to other techniques. She just attacks the enemy and deals some damage, lightning damage, of course, to an enemy. And then all enemies will be shocked, and they will take some more damage at the start of the turn. So yeah, pretty good overall kit. But why exactly is she free-to-play friendly? Well, let's get into a little bit of basic Kafka team building. How do we want to build Kafka? Like, what exactly is the general build for Kafka? So we only have 4 slots, so let's talk about it. Slot 1, obviously, Kafka. No brainer, right? Slot 2, you needed someone to keep you alive, Sustainer. So, Luocha would be great, but assuming you're free to play, you probably have Natasha. Maybe Lynx in the future. Maybe the Fire MC as well. I'll talk more about the Fire MC. There's actually something cute you can do with the Fire MC. And then for your remaining 2 slots, you've got support unit, and your final slot, another DOT giver. Of course, there are other ways to build them. You can put in 2 DOT characters. You can even just not run a sustainer at all if you want to be a little risky. But I feel like that is the general team. Kafka plus sustainer plus support plus second DOT. Now, the second DOT is where I think Kafka is great for free-to-plays, because let's look at the DOT characters. Right now, we basically have 2 choices for that. Well, currently, we only really have 1, but we'll soon have 2. We got Sampo for Windshear, and we got Luca, who's going to come out alongside Kafka. I feel like these are the 2 main ones. Yes, there is Serval. Like, before anyone mentions it, you can try Serval in your composition. And honestly, I do think Serval is pretty solid. I just don't think Serval will be as good as Sampo or Luca with a Kafka team, unless maybe you're doing like a 3 DOT team. But even if you are using Serval, you know what that is? Another 4-star. All 3 of those DOT guys, they're all 4 stars. And as for the healers, we all have Natasha. As for the buffers, you have so many options. Here's where we can really get into this when we talk about the supporters, the buffers, the debuffers, whatever. We got, of course, if you have her, Bronio's pretty solid, but Bronio's not free-to-play friendly. But in my opinion, I feel like there is a character that not that many people talk about for Kafka teams, and that's Asta. Why Asta? Well, she has a very specific trace. In fact, let's go and look at it. So here we have my Asta. Don't judge me, don't bully me too much. I'm trying to build her, but I'm also trying to build a lot of other characters. But this trace right here, Asta's basic attack has an 80% chance to burn an enemy target for 3 turns. Burn, it's a DOT. So you are both getting the extra support because of, Asta's kid and how just she's a good support. You're getting her charges to give extra attack, extra damage basically. And you're getting an extra DOT on top of that because of, well, fire damage, the burn, this trace, whatever you want to call it. That is really good. Now, another thing about Asta, her ultimate. Her ultimate is so great, I would say, for Kafka. I forgot what I was talking about there for a second. Now, why is her ultimate so good? Well, here we go. Increases speed of all allies by 43%. I probably am going to make a video talking about speed, but in a nutshell, more speed, more turns. What goes well with turns? Kafka's technique. The more speed you get, the more turns you get, and the more turns you get, that means Kafka's follow-up attack keeps resetting and you just push in more and more damage, not to mention all the extra damage you're pushing by just taking more turns in general. So that in essence is why I think this lovely Asta, one of my favorite support characters, is really good for Kafka. And one of the many reasons she's really, really good for free-to-play players. Now, of course, there are other characters who are great with her, as we can see here. Sampo as well. And if you want to go for the burn DOT, you could try Hook, you could try Himiko. But I do think if you want to burn DOT, if you just want to get that burn DOT checked off a checklist, I think Asta's the way to go. She's great for supports. Other supports you can play, though. I feel like if you also just want to have other 4-star supports, free-to-play friendly supports, Pella. I feel like not enough people play Pella. I really think Pella is just so good as a support and can be thrown into a lot of teams. And then, of course, we all know by now, Tingyun is Tingyun, and Tingyun is great for all teams, and she does increase damage, increases attack, so Asta will like that. In fact, pretty much all the Harmony characters are pretty solid for Kafka. Now, on that note, though, I will say this. While I do think all of the Harmony characters are good for Kafka, before we get too far into this, I would like to put a note on Ting Yun, or sorry, not Ting Yun, Yukong. Haven't actually tested out Yukong too much, or even theory crafted Yukong with Kafka. I personally don't think Yukong will be that great with Kafka, so I would say choose one of these three as a support. I personally am probably going, well, actually, I'm probably going to try Silverwolf out first because I have Silverwolf, but I'm also going to try out Asta for the variety of reasons why I mentioned Asta in my Kafka team. Now, there are a few other things, though, about Kafka I feel like I should mention before I end this video about Kafka and why I think she's free to play friendly. I've seen a lot of people, pretty much most people, when they're talking about Kafka, only talking about the game, talking about Honkai in the current form, basically with the characters we have now, which is not a bad thing. But another reason why I think Kafka, in my opinion, is going to be very free to play friendly is if you want to build a DOT lineup, you want payoff for this, right? What's your DOT payoff? Yes, I guess, don't say, oh, I can go in simulated universe and use nihility. That's correct, technically, but you can't do that for everything, of course. But yes, as I was saying, though, if you want payoff for a DOT lineup, you kind of have to have Kafka. We don't really have any other payoff. And the other reason I'm saying this is, I guess to put it, future-proofing Kafka is any DOT characters coming out in the future. Fire DOTs, physical DOTs, whatever. Any of them coming out in the future, they, especially if they're good, they are going to love Kafka. And you, as a player, are going to want to have Kafka when you see this. For example, what if we get a fire DOT character? We have some fire characters that put in some burn, but not a great one. No one on the level of Sampo or Luca in terms of how DOT focused they are. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe in the future we'll get a really solid fire DOT. If you look at leaks, I believe there even are some too. I try not to talk about leaks on my channel. So yeah, pretty future-proof in the fact that she is just a fairly unique character, I guess, sort of like Silverwolf, in that Kafka is the payoff for DOT teams. Now, I do feel like we shouldn't just only talk about the positives, the good stuff about Kafka, because she does have some negatives, in my opinion. And the biggest one is that if all you care about is damage, all you care about is putting up them big damage numbers, Kafka does need a little setup. You're gonna need some DOTs. You're gonna need to get those DOTs on there. You're gonna need to get that ult timing or her skill timing very well down and pat. And compared to something like Jing Yuan, and before you say it, yes, I know Jing Yuan and Kafka are completely different play styles, but they're at their core, they're kind of similar. They're both kind of electric AoE damagers. Jing Yuan is putting out a lot more damage with his ultimate and the Lightning Lord. But again, I know they are very, very different in what they're trying to do. Also on Jing Yuan, I'd say as well, if you do have Jing Yuan, maybe consider skipping Kafka because you have a Lightning character already who's pretty good, Lightning AoE. And maybe diversify your elements a bit, maybe save up for, I don't know, Jing Liu for a good ice character or something instead to, again, diversify your elements for, say, MOC. Also, another problem I feel like might come up is skill point usage. While I am saying she's free to play friendly and, she's fine with Natasha as a healer, skill point usage, skill point economy, whatever you want to call it, might become a problem. If you have Luocha, this shouldn't be a problem at all because Luocha is just so skill point friendly, but Natasha does kind of need skill points to heal. But yeah, that is basically it for Kafka and why I think she is super free to play friendly. Of course, I could keep talking more and more, but those are basically the cores of the video. A lot of her support is 4 stars. A lot of the characters she wants to be paired with are 4 stars. While she can work well with 5 stars, unlike, say, other characters, it's not a necessity. And she is the payoff for upcoming characters upcoming DOT characters if they do come up. So that also gives her a little bit of future proofing too, which I know a lot of people like to consider when they roll. It's like, how future proof is this character? Will this character get power, or will this character get power crept by someone? So yeah, that's gonna be it, like I said, for the video. I'd love to hear your opinion though. Do you think Kafka is free to play friendly? Do you think I'm wrong here? Do you think Kafka in general is just a bad character? Are you rolling for Kafka yourself? Are you not rolling? I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm rolling for her because, well, I like the DOT gameplay and because she is anime mommy. And we all like mommies, don't we? And if you guys just enjoyed the video in general, I'd love it if you could leave a like or a comment down below. It always helps me out, and it always helps out the channel. And if you guys want to keep up with the Honkai Star Rail content, I try to put out multiple videos every week. You can always go and subscribe to the channel as well. And if you want to watch me play some Honkai Star Rail, I stream pretty much every single day over on my Twitch account at twitch.tv/Zeniton. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, thank you all again once more for watching this video, and until I see you guys in the next one, bye.